And back to the phones we go. Rush Limbaugh and the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, as usual, talent on loan from God, helping me to meet and surpass all audience expectations every day. Okay, Alan in Madison, Wisconsin. Great to have you, sir. Hello.
Hi, Rush. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday I voted for Ted Cruz. Come November, if it's Cruz, obviously I'll vote for him. If it's Trump, I will vote for him. With that being said, I know you don't want to speak overly negative of Trump because you may offend a lot of your listeners, but I feel that today is a day for you to uphold your duty as a conservative. And I think the reason for that is because of Trump's statements that he's made about Scott Walker. You won't find a more conservative governor than Scott Walker. We got Act 10, right to work, concealed carry. And in the radio interview that Donald Trump did in Northern Illinois stating that Scott Walker should have raised taxes, that he's part of the establishment. I mean, that's just crazy. It's crazy to pull in Walker with the establishment, with the GOP, when Scott Walker has done all of these true conservative things. And I know that you see it. I know that you know this. And I know you don't want to tick off a large part of your listeners, but I think today is the day that you got to call out Trump for these ridiculous statements that he's made.
Why? What does this accomplish? First off, what specifically are you referring to that he said about Scott Walker? Did he say something last night about Walker? And his statement was about he accused Trump of breaking the law, or Cruz of breaking the law with a super PAC. Okay. The statement last night was childish.
Yeah, I think, and while I was on hold, I brought it up. Trump said, quote, you had a $2.2 billion budget deficit and the schools were going begging and everything was going begging because he didn't want to raise taxes because he was going to run for president. Well, is Trump saying the only way to fix a deficit is to raise taxes? I mean, day one of conservative school, people, you understand, you realize, you learn that there's other ways of handling things than just raising taxes.
Right.
I mean, what person that identifies himself as a conservative in their right mind would ever say that?
Somebody who's trying to attract Democrat votes in a crossover primary, who is trying to, in his own maybe questionable view of things, expand the Republican Party, is the only thing I can come up with. Is if you're talking about those things, he said those a while ago. I thought you meant something he said last night that I hadn't yet heard. Yeah, his attack on Scott Walker, it's campaigning 101. He thinks, Trump thinks that a lot of his support is coming from anti-conservative Democrat crossover voters, and he did the same thing in South Carolina. He just trashed George W. Bush, and I commented on it then. He trashed George W. Bush. He was trashing all kinds of things that conservatives believe in, and he's doing it for specific reasons. But I'm telling you, my condemning it isn't going to hurt him. My condemning Cruz wouldn't hurt him.
But let's put it out there of who he is.
What I do.
Okay, which candidates, true conservative candidates, your Scott Walkers, your Ted Cruzes, have tried to dance around policies and try to attract voters on the left? Why don't we just try to teach people what conservatism, because that's what you did for me back in 2008. I always thought of just Republican and Democratic parties, but then because of people like you, Mark Belling, I have learned what conservatism is, and that is how I try to speak about politics to other people, is try to teach them what those values are, try to educate them and inform them. And to me, the writing is on the wall. It's clear as day what Donald Trump is. If we can teach these people, if they're just voting for Trump because he's an outsider, great, that's their right.
I'm telling you,
down the road we could teach them what conservatism is.
How many times do I have to say this? You're putting me in a position here sounding like that I am making excuses for things, and I'm not. I'm telling you that nobody is going to be able to talk Trump supporters out of supporting him by reciting conservatism, by telling them, hey, you know what, this guy's not a conservative. I can tell him the following. I can tell a Trump. In fact, let me try it. I'll do it right now. To all of you Trump people, let me tell you something. He doesn't know squat.
Thank you.
He doesn't know anything about how politics works, but that's his appeal. That is his draw. I raked him over the coals for his statement on abortion the other day when in the interview with Chris Matthews. I called it a disaster. I am not hiding behind anything here. And I knew exactly what he was doing. Donald Trump, and I was criticized for this. Charles Lane on the Washington Post on the Fox Network accused me of saying that what Trump was doing was pandering. What I said was that Trump gave an answer that he thinks pro-lifers want to hear. He thinks, plus he's a law and order guy. So law and order, he thinks he's got a lot of support law and order people because of illegal immigration. You break the law, you get punished. You come into the country illegally, you get sent back. So he's asked a hypothetical about abortion. What do? Abortion's illegal, Mr. Trump. What do we do with it? We punish her. His instinct was he's a law and order guy. Number two, he's a New Yorker. How many times have I said this? You have to listen to this program every day if you're going to be able to understand it. I can't repeat everything every show to make up for people that can't listen every day. When he made that answer on abortion, I was leading the pack here in talking about how embarrassing it was and why it was damaging, not just to Trump, but to the Republican Party, because he clearly answered that question in a way that he thinks pro-lifers want to hear it answered, because he's not. But when I say that Trump's not a pro-lifer, that's not a criticism. Trump is not ideological. He never has been. It takes all kinds of people in this world. I'll say it again. You look at Chuck Schumer and you see a liberal Democrat enemy that's got to be stopped. He doesn't see Chuck Schumer as a liberal Democrat. He may see him as a Democrat, but he doesn't see him as a liberal. He doesn't see people as conservatives or liberals. That's not how he was raised. It's not how he's lived his life. Not everybody does. I wish more people did. I wish everybody understood what liberalism is and who they are when you spot them so that you automatically oppose them. But sadly, not a whole lot of people do. It's been the quest of this program for 27 years to educate and alert people to liberalism, socialism, communism, all the derivatives, and how to spot it and how to spot them. Well, Trump is a personality type that doesn't see people that way. Yet he finds himself in a Republican primary. And the subject of abortion comes up. My guess is that Trump's views on this over the past have evolved, I think, more than likely. This is a wild guess here. But my guess is it hasn't been something that's defined his existence. It's just something that happens. He probably, abortion happens, it's going to keep happening, no matter what anybody does. And he's a business guy. He's not going to get involved in all that. He probably, at some time in his life, has probably not been all that favorably disposed to social issues types. But here he is running in the primary. So he's got to care about it. I think over the course of his life, based on things I've read, I think he has become more pro-life. I think he has become sensitized to abortion and what it is, and partial birth abortion. He has actively changed his mind on that. But in terms of having that be in the frontal lobe of his daily existence, it isn't. He's got other things that define him, that make more sense to him, that are more important to him. Lord, if I went out and disqualified everybody who isn't a conservative ideologue like I am from being permitted to engage in the political process, where the heck would we be? So you combine a whole lot of things. You try to educate people about conservatism so they come to it on their own. That's been my philosophy. You don't wag a finger in somebody's face and warn them that they are going to hell if they don't see the light. You don't tell them how dumb they are. You don't tell them how stupid they are. You don't tell them to wake up. You don't threaten them. You don't blame them. You just set up circumstances to which the conclusion is obvious and they eventually come to it themselves. And you stand for it each and every day, and you live your life. I've had people call me for 27 years. Rush, what more can I do? What more can I do to spread the word conservative? What more can I do? I don't have a microphone. Like I said, live your life according to what you believe. Be an example. Set an example. Be a leader in the things that are important to you, and you will influence more people than you will ever know. I'm very lucky. I have people like you call and tell me that I'm the reason they understand conservatism and became conservative. But most people, that doesn't happen. You walk around and wherever you live, on your college campus, at your job, in your town, and you live your life the way you live it, and when these subjects come up, you discuss it, you'll never know how many people you're influencing, because most of them are not going to come up and say, hey, you know what, Alan? I used to be a commie SOB, but listening to you, you made me you might get that someday, but most people will never tell you. Most people don't want you to think you had to talk them into it. Most people don't want to admit they didn't understand it. Most people want you to think they saw it on their own. Most people want you to think they're bright enough that they don't have to be talked into something. But you can't at the same time just start disqualifying people because they don't think like you do, especially if they're trending in your direction. And if they stand for certain things, it's going to help you accomplish what you want to accomplish. If they don't pass every litmus test, fine. You can't, you just can't be that exclusionary. Something I've learned over the course of the career I've had here, now into our 28th year. But when Trump goes after Scott Walker, I think it speaks for itself. Did you not see the results in the primary results last night? Nobody had to tell him. And I don't think I've got to prove my bona fides every day here by identifying phony fraud conservatives or fake liberals, whoever they are, each and every day. Believe me, for 27 years, I've been trying to alert everybody listening to what a liberal is, how to spot liberalism, and how to never, ever support it. I would be in an insane asylum if I took it personally, how it hasn't worked. People are who they are. It takes all kinds. The low information crowd is specifically low information because they're low information. They don't know diddly squat. And no amount of talking to them is going to convince them because they don't know anything. I can talk about the low information crowd in this audience and nobody in it thinks I'm talking about them because nobody, oh yeah, I'm one of those. I'm a know-nothing. Nobody will admit that about themselves. So they always think I'm talking about somebody else. Well, some know, but it's a very, very sparse number. I can understand you being upset if Trump had won last night. I can understand you. Well, Rush, you really blew it. You had a chance, but you let Trump get away with criticizing Scott Walker as outrageous. Look, but Trump lost in a landslide last night. 13 points. And I'm not surprised. Scott Walker, here's the thing about the Trump organization. Somebody needs to get him to say, look, if you want to go after a governor, don't do it in a state where a guy has had to survive 3 recall elections. And in doing so has built up one of the most amazing conservative Republican grassroots-based support systems ever to exist in this country. You're never going to get a guy like that disqualified. You're never going to get people to believe against that guy after he's done something like the wrong guy to go after. Scott Walker, of all people. Scott Walker, to me, has always been the guy who could have shown the rest of the Republican Party how to do it. That was his big plus to me. That was his big drawing card. Certain things speak for themselves. And the results last night are the evidence and the proof of it. Besides that, Alan, after the first half hour of this program, my own staff was wailing and moaning and crying at me over how excited I seemed to be about what happened to Cruz last night.